we'll call the meeting to order for June 25th, 2019. Mr. Mrzinski, will you please present the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. We'll do the roll call, please.
Rita Beatty,
Present.
Earl Cunningham,
Present.
Gene Massett,
Present.
Rich Mrzinski,
Present.
John Farr.
Present.
Okay, thank you. Could I have an approval for the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Agenda approved. Approval of the minutes, please.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes is passed. All right, so we'll move right on into the first petition, which we have petitioner Pritz Family LLC respectfully petitions the Plan Commission to subdivide the parcel into a 27-lot subdivision located next to and east of 8202 West Paws Road, Michigan City, Indiana, Cool Spring Township, Zone B2 on 16.3 acres. Parcel number as presented, exhibits attached thereto. Okay,
Notice is adequate.
thank you. Please state your name.
My name is Matt Garitano. I'm here from Charles Hendrickson Associates Surveying and Engineering. Our office is at 512 Lincoln Way, also here in LaPorte. I'm here on behalf of the Pritz Family LLC to propose the Winding Creek Way subdivision. The parent parcel is presently zoned R2A. It has not been updated on Beacon, which still shows the zoning label as B2. Winding Creek Way is a 27-lot townhome subdivision with one-story single-family houses that have 3 bedrooms and 2 car garages for each unit. Prices for said homes should be in the $225,000 market. The subdivision will contain a private roadway to be maintained by the HOA. The subdivision will have Michigan City sewer and water. The subdivision contains 2 oversized retention ponds on the north end. The subdivision will also have a walking path for homeowners. These residences are not apartments or rentals. The private roadway will have a concrete ribbon curb with environmentally friendly stormwater drainage swales that will aid in naturally filtering out contaminants and salt from the roadway. The layout and design of Winding Creek Way will maintain the character of Paws Road in being residential in nature. There will be no driveways onto Paws Road directly. All driveways will be on the private roadways inside the subdivision. The subdivision will also have trees, light posts, fire hydrants, and limited sidewalks. The roadway will be designed and constructed to LaPorte County highway standards, even though that it is private roadway. The construction process of the proposed subdivision will be done in 4 phases. The lots meet and exceed the size requirements for R2A zoning, which is approximately 500 square feet a unit or 10,000 square feet a lot, which is 2 units per lot. The units themselves will have approximately 1,400 square foot. We have a wetland protection zone to the east, which is the blue area that is on the east side of the parcel, which is not retention pond. All captured surface stormwater will be directed to the retention ponds and not to the wetland. We will also be protecting that wetland with a 50-foot vegetative strip, and the property is not in a flood zone and is more than 50 feet above Trail Creek in elevation.
Okay. Thank you.
That's it.
Any questions from the board? Comments?
That's what I need to hear.
So you indicated they are going to be private roads though, right?
This is going to be a private
It's not going to be
roadway.
dedicated to the county or
Nope.
the
But
HOA is going to maintain them?
That's correct.
Okay.
But if for some reason, unforeseen circumstance, if it does become a county roadway, it will be to county standards, so there won't be any predicament of taking over something that doesn't meet the code.
Thank you. Anything else?
On the map, I see the main entrance into the new project, and then just west of there, it looks like a tentative driveway. What is that for? Just before the private home, you see that? There's a Looks like
Oh,
an entrance
that is, that's
the
a
private
pre-existing farm field entrance, so that's not going to be used by the lot, you know, that.
Okay, that
Yeah.
that actually exists now, but it
Exists
won't
now,
be
yeah, it's
used.
present day, yeah, it's
Thank
just
you.
left over on the photo.
Yeah.
All access will be for that lot will be Pintail Way.
Is what is depicted in the drawing that you gave us phase one, or are all four phases?
This is all 4
depicted?
phases,
Okay.
yeah.
So where would you anticipate phase one taking place?
I would anticipate phase one being either Pintail Way or Mallard Way. Obviously, it would be indicative of the cost of the road and potential prospects of buyers of the units themselves. I can't say which one will be done, but obviously it would be one or the other.
And because you separated, I apologize. Because you separated the ponds in the back, does that indicate that there could be future extension? May I do to extend?
Yeah, future extension for development north of this project. yes.
Exactly. And
Yes.
it would go between those two existing ponds, correct?
Yes.
Good question.
So the width there would be
This is a major, right?
leftover roadway if the future so presents it.
Okay. Anything else on the board? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any remonstrators for or against this petition here this evening? Okay, would you please step forward and give your name and address, please?
Good evening. My name's Tom Bancy, and I live at 5271 North Johnson, which is directly across the Warnicki farm field from this proposed site. I would just like to remind the Planning Commission that a number of years ago when we remonstrated against the complex that went in next door, that's existing now across from the high school. There was a study done by the Corps of Engineers at that time that stated that at best the property, if it was built upon, was to be a single-family home only, and best left as farm field due to drainage and irrigation and so forth. My concerns with something like this, because now it's stepped out of Michigan City boundaries and it's coming into Cool Spring, is that it's going to set a precedence for multifamily dwellings. The density on that side of over there is phenomenal. We have all those units next door. I mean, I understand this is supposed to be a private residence. Still, it's duplexes. And I don't know anywhere in Cool Spring right now where there's a subdivision of duplexes. There's lots of subdivisions of single-family homes. And when I had to build my house I had to buy the property back in 03 and built in 04. Back then, a single-family home, I have a ranch, I had to have 2 acres. I had to get special variances because I only had 1.98 acres. And it's funny to me that when a developer comes in, that the rules kind of change. And I believe that now it's been changed, the zoning has been changed to a half-acre per home, I believe, which is still single-family homes. There's environmental impacts. You've got increased traffic. We've got increased runoff, and I know that they're planning to do the retention ponds on the north end, but there still could be potential for more, once the precedence is set, to continue going north with more multi-family dwellings, which is loading density into the area. We're on a well. We need to have that water percolating into the ground to go into the aquifer, not run off into a pond. I mean, there's plenty of runoff now that's going all the way down Paz Road. I don't know if you guys remember a few years ago when all the runoff wiped out Johnson Road and took out the T there at Johnson and Paz. That road was down for 6 months and it's still not right. That whole creek is being washed out. So you've got and I understand mitigation and everything. I've been through this before. I just think that caution needs to be taken. I moved out here a number of years ago, and there's not a lot of us to remonstrate. There's not a lot of us here. on that side of town. There's just a few of us. I've got 2 neighbors to my north, and there's several people that live in that subdivision across to the south from this proposed site. So, you know, I'm here on behalf of my wife and my neighbors that can't make it tonight. To just say I would just use caution on allowing something like this because, again, it's, you know, this could lead to more apartment complexes and density, and so we can't even get out of our driveway in the morning as it is. You know, the speed limit there is 45 miles an hour. You're taking your life in your hands coming on Johnson Road. When I come out here, I moved into the country. You know, if I wanted to move to Orland Park, Illinois, I would have done it. I come from Illinois, okay? So I came here for the dark. I like the quiet. And now when I look to the west, all I see are the lights from the complex across from the high school. I see all the lights from the new car dealership over there. That used to be a golf range, okay? And now it keeps moving and moving and moving. It's pushing me out. I don't appreciate it. I pay taxes and I abide by the rules back in the day when I bought my property and put it in my home, okay? So I would just say use caution on this, okay? We have another meeting, I'll remonstrate against it again because I just don't think it's a good idea. I think at best, all that area in there, if you put homes on there, it should be single-family homes, half-acre parcel. And with that, I'll rest my case. Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Any other remonstrators?
Before we do that, Annie, could you update him on the parcel?
Yes, that was rezoned to R2A, which meets the requirements for what they're doing, and they have met the requirements of the subdivision. A single-family home, you needed 2 acres at one time.
Right.
Today it's 1 acre. But when you subdivide, it changes, and they've met that criteria.
And see, I don't understand how a developer can just get revised. Because you're a developer, you get some compensation.
Sir, would you like to come back up to the podium so they can hear you, please? Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
I just don't understand that because you are quote unquote a developer, you get to have the special compensation of increasing density. To me, that doesn't make any sense. So I understand they're abiding by the new zoning. I don't think the new zoning.
And it's city water and sewer, too.
Yeah,
It's
but
not...
point of order, we're not going to argue whether the zoning is appropriate or not, because there's no petition for that tonight.
That's fine. That's fine. So I just state my case and I'm good to go. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Okay.
Any other remonstrators for or against? Anybody else care to speak? Go ahead and...
I have one other question. When you talk about the expansion to the north, there's been rumors for years that the developer would like to take the Canterbury Road all the way north to Highway 20. Do you anticipate that same thing could be true here?
It's possible, but no one's to say for sure. If this doesn't, I mean, there are 4 phases here. If we do 1 phase and it's successful, or 2 phases, we don't even know if all 4 phases are going to be successful. All the way to 20 is loads of acreage to even get that far. We were talking about multiple other developments, and they would all have to be successful for that to happen. I can't give you an answer on it.
Does the developer own all of the land north of this project,
Yes.
220?
Yes.
And the developer owns all of the land north of the Canterbury Apartments, 220, correct?
Yes.
Same developer?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
So, hypothetically possible if circumstances are.
Does the developer own any land east of this project?
No.
Okay, so this is the furthest point east for this
Yes.
developer.
That's correct.
Okay.
Would you like to answer any issues that the other gentleman had or anything you need to address?
No, I mean, I understand his concern for zoning, but like Building Commissioner stated, this is zoned R2A. This meets all the requirements for zoning. There isn't any special exemption for being a developer. The rules and requirements are set forth in the zoning.
And I believe you did a couple of things above and beyond.
Yeah, especially specifically to the drainage, because we know that that's a really major concern for this area.
Right.
I understand his concern for the aquifer and the water. This is, Michigan City Sewer and Water, and we are keeping more than the requirement for drainage in the retention ponds. So we're trying to be as environmentally friendly as humanly possible, and then some.
Okay. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Do I hear any kind of a motion? Would someone like to make a motion for or against the petition this evening?
President, I would move that the Plan Commission consider favorably and present to the Commissioners our recommendation to move forward with this petition since it has met the requirements for R2A.
Thank you. Is there a second? Is there a second for the motion on the table?
Second.
And a favorable recommendation? Okay, we have a motion to make a favorable recommendation for the petitioner for the Pritz family for the 27 lot subdivision. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? Are there any opposed? So we have a few abstaining.
I think we should have a roll call so our
I
record's
was
clear.
just gonna say, that do we need to do a roll call for the motion? Yeah. We have to have all five to be able to move forward with the favorable recommendation because that's what our quorum needs. So could you please do the roll call for the votes, please?
Do we need 3 out of the 5 or 4?
Gene Matzett,
Yes.
Earl Cunningham,
Aye.
Rita Beatty,
Aye.
Rich Mrzinski,
Aye.
John Carr.
No.
Okay, thank you. I've never had that happen as president, so now what do I
Well,
move for here?
we have a quorum president. We have a quorum present, but the standard is a majority. So we have to have all 5 votes for it to pass.
Okay, so at this point in time, petitioner needs to set back for a year then before he can present again?
You know, I want to look at the rule on the time. We haven't had this happen for a while, so I want
Yes, correct.
to make sure to take a look at the book. And I'll be in contact with you to let you know, or I'll give you a letter so you have something in writing as to when you can reapply.
All right, thank you for your time, for those that have attended. And maybe we'll see you back soon. Thank you. All right, moving on to old business.
Why do you always look at me when you say old business?
Well, you know, it just happens to drain that way.
I'm an advisor plan commission. I was retained by the town of Westville to help them with their zoning ordinance, and we engaged in a conversation at the time, and I was engaged as a private attorney, but then I learned many of the small towns, the county, are interested in joining with our joint zoning ordinance. Like we have, as you're aware, I met with the lawyers for the city of Michigan City of LaPorte for over a year, and we made some significant changes to this. But it's the same in all 3, except for some minor issues. So the towns are interested in joining, and so what we're going to do is we're going to meet and see if we can't add a section to this that applies to towns. Okay, and that would be kind of like where we have our overlay districts for
Yes.
marinas, etc. Do something similar to that. So we're just letting the commission know. If you have thoughts, let me know on it. We haven't met yet, but I think conceptually it could help in economic development in the geographic area.
I think that'd be a great idea. That way it keeps everybody in the same format, so we can say, you know, if somebody's moving into a town, no, I don't have to call that town because now I can look in my book and I know this is what it is.
Right.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So I don't know how many want to join, but it sounds like the majority of the incorporated towns want to. So I'll keep the commission advised as we proceed.
Great. Okay, thank you. Any new business? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you all for your attendance.
Meeting will now come to order Tuesday, June 25th, 2019. Minutes of the previous meeting held June 4th. Move to approve as written then.
Moved and properly seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Chris, your own.
I'll just go through the cash flow here real quick. We took in $623,986 total receipts for the month. Our disbursements were $431,857, not including the transfers. We spent about $25,650 on inventory and about $11,225 on capital. Our ending balance was $754,233 for the month. On page 2, our sales for resale were up quite a bit. I believe last month they were around 16,000, so went up almost 3 times. Our distribution expense line is a little bit over budget. We had some concrete work and some truck lighting that were in there. And then our general is a little over budget. We had our annual fee for our computer software support, and that's about $20,586. And we had some bond fees in there as well that threw us over. So we left end of the month with net income of $42,314. On page 3, everything here was pretty close to forecast. We did have 3 payrolls in May. Last May there was only 2, so you'll see the salaries and wages off a lot. What's that?
That's why I wanted to do it.
Oh, and our contracted services line is a little bit over. That's where our concrete work and truck lighting fell into, as well as our bond fees. Other than that, everything was pretty close to where it should be. So that's actually all I have, unless there's any questions.
This one first right quick.
It's not that bad considering how much rain we had, as far as the revenue side of it.
I tried to new Buffalo's back online.
Huh?
Maybe new Buffalo's back online with everybody back.
Well, they're taking a little bit more water.
Yeah.
Any questions?
What are you gonna do with the improvement fund?
Spend it.
Huh?
Spend it.
Spend it.
Yeah. Well, at one time, Dave, years ago, we didn't have that kind of money in the improvement fund, so it's nice that we got a nice cushion to use if an emergency comes up. I mean, we got a pump we want to do out at the booster station, put that on a VFD. Of course, what's going to be paid out of that will be our corrosion control stuff will be paid out of this. If and when the county does that portion underneath 94 and 300 North, there might be some expenditure out of that. Not a lot, but a little, to help contribute to that. So there's things that we're going to use to draw that down.
Thanks for the answer. Very good.
And at one time, we were not able to make transfers from operating, take that down pretty low. We were tracking it at one point, but we're not anymore. But we got down pretty low before we had to transfer. We had some money from it. We called that low. Not always lower now. Like cut down to 100,000, something like that. All right. Any other questions, comments?
Will you approve the financials as presented?
A second.
Good.
Moved and properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion's carried. Purchase orders.
Okay, there's a list of 7 items there. The 2 top ones, Northern Plant Services,
we had to vacuum down our 2 set basins 4 and 5 in order to get the sludge out of there in order to repair the valve. So that's been done, and the parts are being worked on to get the new actuators on, because the old ones kept breaking on us, and then they break off at the bottom of the valve. So these new ones will eliminate that problem. So that was to get the sludge out of there. Midwest meters for stock, that's just standard. And then the other ones, that Swan Group, that's stuff from the chlorine analyzers. But other than that, everything else is pretty much routine.
Okay. Item 4.
Okay, this has caught me a little bit by surprise, as I'm sure it has the board. With our tank painting project, when we had the specifications written, we didn't include anything in the specs for containment, and that has caused a problem with taking off that decal. The reason why it wasn't specified for containment was, first of all, we were using water and not sandblasting in order to create a dust, so that's why that wasn't done. But that decal, when it was put on both sides, it was put on in sheets of 3 by 5 feet diameter, but square rectangular sheets. And I was under the impression that's how they would come off. Well, that's not how they came off. When you water blast them, they broke apart, and the wind took them and blew them all over the neighborhood. Well, that created some calls to the mayor's office, to me, and so the project was halted. And that was the week just before we left for Denver. The contractor, when Larry and I were out in Denver, we met with the engineer out there, Bill Dixon, who is the engineer, the firm's president of the company, and our project manager. Explained to him what the situation was with IDEM out there halting the job because of that stuff possibly getting down in the storm drains, and if it gets in the waterway, it creates an environmental hazard that way. Well, none of that has happened. So sanitary district got out there, they put cocoa mats over the top of the drains and blocked all that. But there are areas out there that still needs to be cleaned. So in meeting with the engineer in Denver, we came up with a plan that we need to get some sort of containment on this so we can finish the job. When we came back, we met with the engineers on site and the contractor, and kind of gave them some ideas of what they thought we could do to keep the cost down for us, to keep the project going. He came up with this. There's 3 proposals that I sent you. The cheapest is a cone-shaped device over the pressure nozzle to blow that off, but it also has it's a vacuum. It pulls all that stuff back in through a hose. All that gets contained in a vessel, with the water then being drained to the ground, which is fine. Had all this been contained on our tank site, there would have been no questions. But because it got on the neighbors' cars and houses and yards, that raised a concern. So the contractor knows he has to clean all that up. There's not a question. That was built into his bid to do that. What was not built into his bid was containment. And so that's what we're here today with this change order, to do a modest change order to get the rest of that decal blown off of there. There's an area.
I would buy there, excuse me, Randy, it's like 1/8. They blew out the whole front. In the back, there's basically 1/4 left, just a tiny little section.
What's causing the debris? It's the decal blowing apart. It's breaking apart in little pieces.
Oh.
And then up there, you may be down on the ground. The wind down on the ground may not be as great as what it is going around that tank, and it blows it all over the place. So They got some serious cleaning to do, and they're aware of that. I've talked to various neighbors, explained what was going to happen with them cleaning cars, properties, and getting everything together. So in order to move this project forward, again, it was an oversight on the engineer's side of things and mine as well, because I didn't know that decal would blow apart like that.
You're gonna have the problem again?
No, because we're not going to put a decal back on there. So if in the future the department ever puts a decal on a tank, there's going to have to be some containment done for future cleaning when that happens.
It costs that much to breed just from the...
Oh, it's blowing up north of the tank almost a block. And it's just little pieces. And what's bad, it's sticking to the car. It's still got mastic to the back side.
Oh, yeah.
So the contractor's aware that he's got it set up with a decal shop to detail all the cars that they'll call. They got a list of names, and he's got the car wash area. He's got to clean all that lot up, the roof off of that. There's stuff on there, and he understands what he needs to do. But basically, it was an oversight on both the engineers and me to contain that, because I really, and I don't think they ever knew it would blow apart either. Only because decals are when that was put on there, it was very new to the industry about putting decals on tanks. We were probably about the third in the country to do it. The first was up in Detroit when they put it around the water tower for the zoo. The place that did that, Graphica, they were out of the Detroit area. They designed it for us and put it on there. And it lasted. We only thought we'd get maybe 15 years of life out of that tank, and we got close to 22 years. And so I hate to come with a change order, but in order to finish this project, we need to move forward.
How much is left to remove? How much?
About the size.
I got a picture of it.
About the size of this here.
That's gonna cost us $28,000.
Well, he's got to use that containment for the rest of it, because if he cleans the tank and there's paint chips, he needs to clean that will pick up the paint chips if there's any paint flaking off it.
Is this equipment his or ours?
He bought it. He's buying it.
So we're paying for it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna find out if we can't get that.
It's only a little bit left on the other side. The other side.
It's not.
So the final dollar is how much?
$28,000.
The cost on this to change order.
Not the change order, the total.
It'll be
27,000.
800 will be the change order cost. I'm gonna look that up. Did you remember what that bid was for that tank?
The bid, you have it right here.
$27,800.
That's for the change order.
That's just a change order. That's
Yeah.
the
Require that special.
It was under $250,000 for the tank.
Right.
Yeah.
250 plus this.
I want to say it was under 250.
Because that decal was one of the first, like Randy said, was put on, and it looked good. As a matter of fact, that decal was used in a national advertising account because it looked so good, so great, and we were all in trade magazines and everything like that. So it served its purpose, got us a lot of positive publicity for the city, a lot of positive comments, but nobody else thought that.
I think it was a great move.
Yeah.
Why did this company know about decals?
They don't experience it. I mean, there's not that many around this area.
Sure was pretty.
And you know, it was an oversight both by the engineers and by me, like I say. And
something new, yeah.
They knew it was a decal.
Right, but I don't know that they knew it was going to blow apart like that.
This was
I thought it was going to come off in the sheets that it went up there, Kenny, and it did.
Well, and I can understand your position, but these people are professional and they do this all the time.
I know. They don't experience it either because there's not that many in the area. We're probably the only other tank besides that one in Detroit that has decal on their tank. And again, I'm not looking at putting another one.
How long has this company been in business?
Well, I don't know.
So there's no liability
on their part.
That's our point.
Well, they gotta clean up the area.
But they're charging us for the
Well, that's already built into their bid for cleaning. That's not the issue. The issue is getting the rest of the tank cleaned off and containing what we need to contain.
I'll go back to one of my original questions. If we pay the $27,800 for this equipment, who owns it?
Well, that was a question that I didn't experience, that I don't know. I would imagine he's gonna buy it.
He's gonna pay us $27,800?
No, I would say that if he's buying it, that's something I'll have to get back with.
But we're not entitled to it for free.
I know, but if we're paying for the equipment and he takes it home and uses it, hello, nice story.
So then he's getting it for free.
Exactly. I mean, there's so many things that are really irritating about this, and I just have to throw out a few points. Number one is that, I mean, just our name, how many times I heard about the water, what are you guys doing, the water department? Why are you spraying this? Don't you guys have enough sense that, because this is our name up there, it's not the contractor, it's the water department. That was number one. And number two, they put the bid out and they knew there was a decal, and all the engineers and the contractor can't figure out that decal, even if it comes in little pieces, it's going to fly all over the place. Shouldn't that be in that from the beginning? And I hope these guys, we're not paying for all this cleanup, this whole list of cars and whole list of trucks.
It's already in their bid to do that.
Is it in the bid? But this $27,000 seems like it's only a little piece left.
I know.
That we have. To be honest with you, I don't think we should pay it. I think they should just finish the job on their original bid. I mean, and then they seen this fly all over the place, and they kept doing it. That's just common sense. Why didn't they stop? Why didn't they? And it's not your fault. I feel that's the engineer.
The problem with that is nobody's had experience with decals taking long.
It's common sense, Larry. When you go out there and you blow out, if you get a bid to take out a decal and it's flying all over the city, wouldn't you stop and take the change order of that instead of causing all this havoc all over the city?
Yeah, nobody knew this was going to happen.
You didn't get my point. You didn't get my point.
Okay.
You start spraying, it's going all over the city. Don't you stop there? I can see that. Hey, Randy, give me a change order here. Not blow off the whole decal and 3/4 of the other side.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't know. It's very disturbing. I just.
In other words,
it's just not right.
There should be common sense on that.
Absolutely, it's just common sense.
Well, I got some thoughts on this that we'll talk afterwards, but I'd like to see this project move forward and get done, and then I can talk about those issues later. But
get it done, don't pay them.
And in Ted's question, that's a good question. I can find out if we can, if he's getting this, and if it's got to be bought, and it's for this cost for that equipment, then it should be ours.
Absolutely. And then we'll run it back to it for $27,000.
That's what I was going to ask you. What will we do with it?
Yeah.
We'll run it back for $50,000.
Well, that's a good question. So I think that, there's some merit there that if he's got to buy this piece of equipment, then it should be ours, if that's the cost of this.
How long will it take you to find out about that? A day? Phone call? Before we vote on this?
It probably will take, I call him tomorrow, call the engineers tomorrow and go through the engineers.
I'd like to know what the position is on that. If we got to cost $27,800, and that's for the use of the equipment that they already have, that was not quoted originally.
They don't have the equipment, I do know that.
Is this going only for equipment, or is this going, you gotta assemble it, you gotta
They got to order it, and then
labor and all that stuff.
They got to order the equipment. It's got, I don't know whether it's made or they got to make it. I don't know.
I'm curious how much it costs of the 27.8, what part of it is the cost of the equipment. Because a breakdown, it might only be $8 or $9 grand.
Yeah, there's only a little bit left on that decal.
But see, the thing is,
I figure about 1/8 is left.
Yeah.
Maybe 1/9 tops.
But the thing is, they're not only gonna use it on that decal, they got the top, they gotta do cleaning on the top yet, and then they're gonna clean the rest of the tank with that too, so, because they're gonna contain.
That's part of their bid.
Wait a minute.
That is, but it's gotta be contained.
That's where I'm getting at.
It's gotta be contained.
Whoa. If he's taking paint off, and that's what he did, he's done experience in taking decals off, as we discussed it.
I'm not.
Now we're saying he's gonna use it to do the rest of the tank, which is paint? There's
No.
something wrong here.
No, he's gotta clean the paint, but there could be flakes of paint that may come off.
What does he normally?
Yeah, well, what do you normally do?
Yeah, what was in the bid?
There was no containment bid in this project, that's what I'm saying, so it would have flew all over. Now that we're in this situation, he's gonna use that to contain.
I still feel he should finish his job and we shouldn't pay him. That's my
I think we
views.
should wait till next month to approve it.
And it's
Well,
they
we're running into time frame.
And here's the other thing, if the weather starts getting hot, that tank's out of service, we're gonna need 1 million gallons in the air for pressure and volume out there. We're gonna need that tank online, and we got this thing bid in the spring, so it'd be done by summertime when the heat came about. We keep prolonging this, it's not gonna do us any good.
So if we don't paint it, the tank's gonna fail?
It's not gonna fail.
It's not gonna fail, it's the system, we could have issues out there.
So he wants the money before he does it.
Well, the change order will come, the payment will come later, but we gotta give them the approval to move forward on this.
Is there an arbitration clause in our contract?
I have no idea what's in it.
Should Barry look into that?
I think that's important.
That's what I was thinking.
Barry should look into this. I can certainly give them the documents.
Is the tank out of service now?
Yeah.
That's what the issue is, getting back in service is good for solve.
And do we have an estimate on how long it'll take? What's going to be said?
40 days
40 days.
after the receipt of equipment, which is another 2 weeks.
And that's if IDEM approves, right? Did they?
Well,
approve?
that's once the equipment's on site and they start blasting that, they need to be on site to verify that it's gonna do the job.
To speed this up, why don't you find out, call him and he'll call us.
Yeah. Call who?
That's it.
Pass the word on that.
I'm bringing up subjects that I think we all.
In
should
order to
bring up.
table, and rather than table it for 2 weeks.
Well, no,
I'm not asking that.
if we're going to do that, then we're going to have to meet again next week or whatever, just to get
I
this.
asked Randy, how long would it take him to clarify the 28,000?
I'd probably get a phone call made tomorrow.
And then have to call us.
Yeah, Randy,
No.
might have to.
Yeah.
I'd have him call us.
If, once he gets the answer to the question,
He's the guy that's getting the information.
Randy's gonna get the information, that's where the source should come from. If need be, let's just try and put some contingencies in here. If he's gonna, I guess Ted's question is going to ownership of the equipment, correct?
I guess that's does equipment cost 27,800 or is it equipment plus labor built into it?
Then they'll break them.
I don't know. He just says, I assume from the way I read this thing, it's $27,800 for the equipment. The way I read it. May be wrong with that. It didn't really clarify.
Randy, in my ignorance, I didn't know that, well, the water is stopped on that tank. It's not working.
It's out of service.
It's out
Yeah,
of
that
service.
tank's on service, it's drained down.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that
Oh,
either.
okay. I thought, I was gonna ask.
That's-
if there's
I
any
didn't know
kind of-
that either.
Yeah.
That's why we're
The
pushing it.
supply.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it's just, okay.
That's why it's critical we get this thing going again before it starts getting hot in July and August. Again, I can get Ted's question answered. How much of this is equipment, how much of it is, and then are we buying this piece of equipment? I mean, if we were buying this piece of equipment, that might be a little.
Yeah, and explain to him we're having a tough time with the board.
Yeah.
And because of all this.
And I agree with Gus that when you see that stuff blowing, they should have stopped themselves.
It's just
And
common sense.
but
Maybe we move forward and this is something that's resolved later. Between the two parties.
Yeah, we gotta keep.
Maybe we can authorize him to go ahead with the purchase. He doesn't have to have the check in it.
Well, he won't get the check until, that change order will come when payments come forward.
Yeah, we won't pay him until it's done anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got the scheduled payment set up. Sometimes you pay X, then Y.
Or a change order.
Well, yeah,
This is how they say we're gonna
You
have.
anticipate there's gonna be some lawsuits or this stuff flying around the
no,
neighborhood?
because I've got a list of names of who has the issues, and I've talked to every one of them, and they know.
And who's gonna pay for that?
The contractor's cleaning this up.
Right.
He's gonna take care of all the.
Yeah, he's got it set up with a detail shop on vehicles. He'll go out there and clean cars and whatever, the property and whatever else.
Yeah, the only thing, one more question is, you know, in this, it says everything cleaned up once tank clean and complete. I mean, these people have decals stuck on their houses and cars. They're not gonna wait
Well,
till this project is done.
I gotta call in to the engineer saying that, well, if we get this thing going, he gets out there in this 2 weeks and gets this cleaned up, because now that should not happen anymore.
Right, he should start paying
So
and
he should
resolve
start getting this stuff cleaned up now.
immediately, yeah.
I agree.
These are people,
And
and
that's-
with the whole line of
I
complaints.
got that, I gotta call into him that's what he should
What's our
start.
hammer to make sure he gets all that done?
What's that?
What's our hammer?
Withholding the payment.
We haven't paid.
Oh, well, that's why we can't wait.
Yeah, this is a whole can of worms over here, I'm sorry.
So does IDEM have to formally approve anything prior?
They gotta come out and take a look and make sure it's gonna be working properly.
So we gotta get the equipment first.
In the interim.
In the interim, the only thing that we can get him to do is clean that area up. And if he reneges, then I don't know what we can do, but he's gonna clean it, he knows he's gotta clean it.
That should come first. That should need,
You know,
people
so-
that,
Well, I take
We don't
these,
pay him till after it's
I'll take these to Barry and get his opinion.
yeah.
Explain it to him.
Yeah, well, Barry's been advised to this, he knows what's going on out there, Barry helped me draft the letter to respond to the IDEM, so he's aware of everything.
Good. All right, how do we proceed? We can't just sit here all day and
I
night.
think we have to proceed, go ahead, do it, and, like we said, we already back.
And then
We really need to get that.
let's proceed with the 27-8, we'll approve that, and then we'll deal with him and the cost of this equipment.
And ownership, yeah.
Ownership, and I'll get that talked about
I would
tomorrow.
think we approved to go ahead with like that, but the 27.8 is still subject to
Right.
verification.
Right. That's what
We haven't paid his whole bid, correct?
We haven't paid anything yet.
Anything yet, so he should proceed, finish, and we could just put this aside somehow.
let's not commit to
until after it's
27.
done. And
We
hopefully
gotta
when
approve it
use
so he can get the equipment going.
I just said, we'll
Yeah.
go ahead and approve this, but we'll go ahead with the caveat that the 27.8 is still under
Yeah.
verification.
It's an ownership question.
That has to be part of the motion, if you're gonna write a motion.
I don't know how to do that, Dave, why don't you?
I'll put it together.
All right.
I'll do the best I can. I'll go ahead and approve of the change order as submitted by Mr. Russell, with the caveat that the 27,800 will be paid upon verification and satisfaction to the Michigan City Water Department
And ownership.
and ownership.
Yeah, I got that.
And residents.
I second.
All right, the moving properly seconded. Randy's written the motion down.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye. Aye.
No.
Motion's carried by a vote of 4 to 1.
Okay.
Okay. Old business.
Okay, the street alarm ditch project, the first publication for that was yesterday in the paper on the 24th. The second one will be July 5th. On July 16th, we'll have mandatory pre-bid meeting here in our office with the Human Rights Director to explain the hiring requirements. The 22nd, I'll need a board member present. We're gonna open bids here and that'll be a Monday.
What's the date?
22nd, July 22nd, 2 p.m. We'll open bids on that street alarm project. The 23rd, we'll award it at our meeting for the water portion, and then 24th, the sanitary district will do it for the sewer project. It's a combined bid, and we're paying just for the water portion, sanitary district paying for their sewer.
So we're gonna be using the same contractor essentially?
Yeah, in order to save cost, and Doyle's the engineer on both projects, so. Just a note on that, so I'll remind everybody as time moves on.
Okay. All right. Do we have any other old business? Other old business? Old business, okay. New business. Public comment.
Hearing none, I so move we adjourn.
Second.
Moving probably second, school to be adjourned. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, meeting's adjourned.